This is an urgent cosmic bulletin, a story that scientists tried to keep contained behind locked doors, but the data was too powerful to hide. NASA has just confirmed the impossible, an object moving faster than the speed of light. Not an optical illusion, not a software error, not a miscalculation, a real detection, a real event, and the most frightening part is this. They can't explain what it is, where it came from, or why it's moving with such impossible precision through the darkness of space. The story began in silence, deep in the early hours of the morning, when alarms lit up NASA's monitoring dashboard. The Fermi Space Telescope had captured a streak of light slicing across a distant region of the universe, but the number flashing on the screen made every scientist freeze in disbelief. The calculated velocity was more than 3 times the speed of light. Einstein's limit, the foundation of modern physics, shattered in a single reading. A technician tried to reboot the system, expecting the numbers to vanish, but instead, the nightmare became real. A second telescope confirmed the reading. A third telescope matched it perfectly. 3 independent systems, the exact same impossible speed. Scientists immediately assumed something was wrong. A calibration glitch, a corrupt signal, anything that could bring sanity back to the moment. But then the horror escalated. The object didn't just move faster than light. It changed direction, a sudden, sharp turn, the kind of maneuver that no natural cosmic phenomenon has ever shown. Exploding stars don't turn, jets from black holes don't turn, gamma-ray bursts don't turn. But this object did, slicing through space with the precision of something that wasn't drifting, but navigating. When the trajectory was plotted on the cosmic map, the room fell into silence. The movement wasn't chaotic, it wasn't random, it was calculated, smooth, controlled, almost surgical, as if the object were following a predetermined mission. Every correction of its path suggested purpose, intelligence, intent. The word, craft, began to creep into conversations, quietly at first, whispered like a taboo. 19 days later, NASA received the message it feared most. The anomaly had appeared again. Same impossible speed, same precise directional change, but this time, something even stranger happened. As the object tore across space, it left a glowing trail behind it. The signature looked eerily similar to Cherenkov radiation, the blue light produced when something travels faster than light through water. Except this was happening in the vacuum of space, where such radiation should be impossible. Yet there it was, recorded clearly, unmistakably. Whatever this thing was, it wasn't just moving faster than light. It was interacting with space itself in a way humanity has never observed. The internal briefing room filled with tension as a senior astrophysicist finally asked the forbidden question. What if this isn't natural? The silence that followed was heavier than any calculation. Because the truth was undeniable. A natural phenomenon doesn't change direction with precision. It doesn't leave engineered radiation trails. It doesn't reappear with identical behavior. And it doesn't mimic coordinated movement. But this object did all of those things. When scientists overlapped the data from both events, another disturbing pattern emerged. The 2 objects, or the same object appearing twice, moved in a synchronized rhythm, almost like 2 drones performing a galactic scan. A systematic sweep, a mapping operation. It matched, almost perfectly, with theoretical models of how an advanced civilization might explore galaxies. Not with giant ships, but with ultra-fast, self-guided probes capable of bending space and completing surveys at speeds far beyond light. NASA immediately locked the data behind encrypted servers, classifying the events as strictly non-public. No press release, no interview, no comment, but information leaks in small ways, through academic whispers and technical hints. A cryptic remark from a university researcher exposed the truth. The behavior appears non-random, controlled, and intelligent. Those words spread like wildfire. Then came the third detection, the one that changed everything. It was brighter, stronger, and unmistakably closer. The energy signature indicated that the object, or whatever it was, had moved into a region nearer to our part of the galaxy. If the trajectory continues on the same pattern, it could pass near the outer edges of our solar system within decades. Not directed toward Earth, but close enough to observe us, or to pass through without our ability to predict or react. NASA cannot deny the data any longer. The object violates relativity. It distorts space-time. It leaves behind impossible radiation. It moves as if guided by intelligence. And it is appearing more frequently. If this is a natural phenomenon, then the universe has rules we have never understood. But if it is not natural, then someone else has mastered a form of travel far beyond anything we can imagine. Warp curvature, space folding, dimensional shortcuts. These ideas used to exist only in science fiction. But now, something out there is using them. Something powerful, something fast, something that doesn't obey the laws that bind us. And if this technology malfunctions, the energy released could destroy entire star systems. One error, one miscalculation, one accident, and everything in its path would be erased. The most terrifying question is the one no one wants to ask. If NASA only detected this object now, how many times has it passed by before, unnoticed in the vast, silent darkness? NASA expected the phenomenon to fade, like so many unexplained anomalies that appear once and never return. But instead of disappearing, the object behaved in the one way nobody wanted. It evolved. The next detection didn't just confirm the existence of something beyond our understanding. It revealed that the entire situation was escalating. The readings were sharper, the path was clearer, the speed was even more precise, and the energy signature had changed, almost as if the object had shifted into a higher state of power. Something was happening out there, something active, and the question gripping every scientist behind closed doors was simple: why now? Inside NASA, theories began to collide. Some researchers believed the object wasn't accelerating. We were simply seeing more of it because it was entering a region of space where our telescopes were finally sensitive enough to detect it. Others argued the opposite. The object was intentionally moving toward denser observational zones, like someone shining a flashlight into cameras on purpose. A few scientists didn't speak at all, choosing instead to stare at the data in uneasy silence. Because the deeper the analysis went, the clearer one truth became: the patterns didn't look random. They didn't look chaotic, they looked coordinated. The object seemed to pause momentarily between bursts of impossible speed, almost like a machine recalibrating. A short deceleration, a sudden correction, then a violent surge back into superluminal travel. Each movement left a faint distortion in the surrounding space, little warps in the background radiation that shouldn't exist but undeniably did. It was as if the structure of space-time itself were being bent, folded, compressed and released. If this was natural, it meant the universe had phenomena capable of breaking every rule we use to understand reality. If it wasn't natural, then someone had engineered a machine capable of rewriting physics on demand. More data arrived in fragments. A faint pulse of radiation detected a few days later, not strong enough to trigger alarms, but similar enough to raise eyebrows. Then another, and another, almost as if the object were leaving breadcrumbs across the cosmos. And these breadcrumbs didn't line up in a straight line, they outlined a pattern. A sweeping arc, a broad scan, a trajectory too wide and deliberate to be coincidence. The object wasn't just moving, it was surveying, measuring, searching, and whatever it was looking for, it hadn't found yet. For the first time, NASA considered whether the object was acting alone. What if there was more than one? What if the confirmed detections were just the ones close enough, or slow enough, for our instruments to catch? In a universe with 2 trillion galaxies, what were the chances that we happened to detect the only superluminal event in existence? The frightening possibility emerged that we were not seeing an anomaly. We were seeing the edge of a larger pattern, a massive operation happening on a scale far beyond human comprehension. And we were catching only a tiny fraction of it. Then came the strangest reading so far. A brief oscillation in the object's speed, too precise and rhythmic to be random. Some interpreted it as interference. Others suggested it was a form of communication, not directed at us, but between components of the phenomenon itself. Like 2 systems synchronizing, or calibrating, or updating. Imagine 2 probes sharing data at speeds we can't even conceptualize. Imagine a network working across light years in seconds. That was the kind of behavior the instruments seemed to capture. As the data piled up, a disturbing trend emerged. The intervals between each detection were shrinking. The events were happening more frequently. The object, or objects, were appearing in zones progressively closer to the Milky Way's outer arm. Astronomers quietly ran simulations. None of them liked what they saw. If the trajectory continued, the phenomenon would soon pass near interstellar clouds bordering our solar neighborhood. Not dangerously close, but close enough that any high-energy warp mechanism could affect the region. Not intentionally, but as a side effect, the same way a jet engine creates turbulence simply by existing. NASA debated whether to alert other agencies, but every model led to the same chilling conclusion. If the object's warp field destabilized near dense interstellar gas, the resulting energy could trigger a shockwave measurable across star systems. Not an explosion, more like a tear. A rupture in space-time. And the effects of such a rupture are impossible to predict. It could dissipate harmlessly, or it could spread like a crack across a sheet of glass. In the worst-case scenario, the damage could ripple for light years, rearranging everything in its path. Stars, planets, space itself, and still, the object continued its silent journey. Weeks later, something happened that NASA never expected. The anomaly didn't pass by a distant star or drift across a quiet region of space. It crossed near a pulsar, an incredibly dense, fast-spinning remnant of a collapsed star. Pulsars act like cosmic lighthouses, sending precise beams of radiation across the galaxy. If anything at all, interferes with these beams, the pulsar's rhythm shifts in measurable ways. And for 4 seconds, that pulsar stuttered. Not enough for the general public to notice, but enough for astronomers to panic. Something had interfered with the beam. Something fast, something powerful, something aligned almost perfectly with the anomaly's projected path. This was no longer a question of, could it be? This was now, it is. NASA began to track the phenomenon as if it were a moving object, not a cosmic explosion or a natural burst, but a thing. Something with behavior, something moving with intention through the galaxy. Something capable of bending space and briefly disrupting the pulse of a star that had been beating flawlessly for millions of years. Something that was now too close to dismiss and too unpredictable to ignore. The most unsettling part was whispered only behind closed doors. This object wasn't just passing by the pulsar. It reacted to it, as if it sensed the change, as if it adjusted, as if it noticed the environment around it. That tiny deviation, that minuscule correction, was enough to terrify the scientists watching the data unfold. Objects don't respond, phenomena don't correct themselves, but machines do, artificial systems do, technology does, and the final dataset of the month revealed the detail that left everyone speechless. The anomaly's projected course, if it continued undisturbed, would bring it to the outer regions of our spiral arm within a human lifetime. Not necessarily toward Earth, not toward the Sun, but toward a region filled with planets, dust, and signals, including ours. Which raises the question no one wants to answer. Did it change direction because of the pulsar, or because it detected us?